Hello, everybody. It's Christy with Planted Places, and I am here with Happy Food Chef Robin Joy. Hi, Robin.
Hi, Christy. So good to see you.
So good to see you. I know we do this, and I before we jump into things, I just want to say hi to everybody. And as everybody knows, we have opened up our doors and Planted Places for the Planted membership for the spring cohort of new growers and new chefs and new yogis. We do this every couple months. We open it up and we bring in new people. And for the last week or so, I have been going live with different people to really showcase what we do. And I've been really excited. Robin, we saved the best for last because I really, in my mind, it's about growing food. It really is about cooking with that food, because you could grow it and have these beautiful greens and it's really soothing to your soul. But if you're not getting that health in your body, you're missing out on a lot of things. So one thing that we do, everybody, is we do a Get Your Greens challenge every month. And this is one thing that's kind of fun in the membership. And we have a theme every month, and we pick something to really drill down into. And then we really showcase every month, every week, we'll have a recipe that's around that theme. So in January, we did kind of energy drinks and smoothies. And in February, we did soups. And in March, we did salad dressings. And now we are doing teas. And I'm very excited about this because I have my one or two teas and I have got to open up my just kind of pantry of what can I do for teas, and especially what can I be doing with what I'm growing with the teas. And I know, Robin, before we jump in here, tell a little bit, just because a lot of people are going to be new that are going to be watching this, tell a little bit about your background. And because you've got a great background for exactly what we're doing, which is why we work together, and then we can jump right into teas.
Great. Okay, so hi everyone. I'm the Happy Food Chef, and I am a vegetarian chef specializing in raw food. I'm also a health coach certified through Metagenics. But my real focus is on making what I call happy food, because if you can't take what you're growing and really make it taste delicious, you're not going to hang in there for the long run. And really, this is about the long run and we're no different than a car. This food is our engine. So you either can run on really bad fuel and you break down and you don't have the energy and pick up, or you can be supercharged, because that's what real living food does. And we call the plant kingdom living food. So that's my background in terms of that. But regarding teas, this is very special to my heart because I lived in Asia for 5 years. I spent 3 years in Hong Kong and 2 years in Tokyo. And I had a very dear friend who had a tea shop in Hong Kong. And he really taught me quite a bit about teas, to the point where I actually ended up, most people think of tea ceremony as something that's strictly Japanese. Well, it is not. Most Asian countries have their own tea ceremony. And so the Chinese have a definite tea ceremony. And in his tea shop, you could sample teas downstairs, and he'd sold teaware. It was gorgeous. But then upstairs, he had a private room.
Of course.
and one time, because he was so busy and he had an American family in there, and he actually, because he'd been teaching me, I was there 3 years, and he actually asked me to take a private party upstairs to do tea ceremony with them, Chinese tea ceremony, upstairs in the private room. I was so nervous. Oh my God.
What was it like? I'm so intrigued.
Part of the Chinese tea ceremony is that there's a whole setup with a tray that it's a basin that the water goes into. Part of the ceremony is washing all your utensils, all the cups, everything. And what people don't usually think is you don't just take boiling water and put it in your tea. Most teas have different boiling points so there's a chemical reaction that happens when you actually boil the water. So you must bring the water to a full boil and then let the water cool to the appropriate temperature that is used in that particular tea. And so a lot of times we'll have a thermometer. So we measure the heat of the water before we put it, because otherwise you burn your tea. And here's a great example. Most people the reason they don't like green tea, real green tea, is because if you buy it, whether it's at Starbucks or wherever else, they burn the tea because they're just they keep the water at a steady temperature. They don't
Always hot. It's always burning hot at Starbucks.
But it actually burns the tea leaf. And so green tea tastes really bitter. The proper temperature for really good Japanese green tea is quite low. And in fact, it's actually too low for my taste, but the tea actually has a sweet flavor. It's not at all.
Right. Normally you don't. Okay, interesting.
I don't even know when they say, oh, I drink green tea every morning and I love green tea. I'm like, I suspect you don't even know what real green tea tastes like.
Yeah, or because maybe they're adding a bunch of sugar because it's not sweet enough because they've brewed it too hot. Oh, that's interesting. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So when I started down the journey of tea, I realized that this is a major subject. There are so many teas from all over the world, from Sri Lanka, from India, blah, 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 blah. So, and different teas affect the stomach differently. Okay. And we're not talking about medicinal teas. We're talking about the tea that is from the tea plant. Okay. So for me, as an example, I can't drink any oolong tea. It just is too rough on my stomach. So I decided to specialize in certain areas of tea. So my specialty in tea is with the green teas, especially from Japan, as opposed to China. They're different. So, and of course, always organic. And there are even classifications that go beyond organic. They're shaded, half shaded, not shaded. So it's a whole
world. It's a whole world.
Whole world that takes years to even understand, to develop the palate. So my knowledge is in green teas, especially sencha and matcha, which is the powder tea, which is used in traditional ceremony. But now people are using it in cooking.
Oh, you see matcha all the time now.
All the time, but there's, people are making it palatable with adding all kinds of sweeteners to it and adding coconut milk or whatever they want. So, but I'm talking about real serious matcha made properly without all. Then there's also little things when I was in Hong Kong. And my other favorite teas are my white teas, especially Silver Needle, which we're going to do recipes with that. And also Pu'er Poulet. Pu'er and Poulet, one is Mandarin and one is Cantonese. And that is your traditional, when you go to a Chinese restaurant, that's the traditional tea that you're served with your meal. The reason is those are digestive teas. They help in digestion.
Oh, okay.
And they also pull a lot of the fat out of the body. Because
so when you say digestive tea, what do you mean by that?
Okay, so it helps with digesting the meal you just ate so you don't feel as full. It also pulls a lot of the fats right out because a lot of Chinese cooking is heavy with fat. And so, and real Chinese cooking, I lived in Asia and you're served let's say a piece of meat, there's no meat, it's mostly fat.
Yeah, that's true. Okay.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
It pulls that fat out of the body.
Oh, interesting. So it doesn't kind of linger in the digestive system. It kind of almost like removing it from the system, so to speak.
Yeah.
I mean, I know what you mean. Okay. Oh, interesting. So you feel better after you eat. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So you have this tea after you eat, not before.
No, you can have it while you eat and then after.
Okay. Okay.
I mean, you just keep drinking it all the time, when you do it. But here's the other thing about that particular genre of tea. They go from really cheap. So when you go to a Chinese restaurant, you're drinking, I hate to say this, but like the Lipton tea.
Yeah. Okay. I figured you were going to say that.
Yeah. but it runs the full gamut to thousands of dollars
Okay.
for,
Wow, for tea.
for a cake of tea that's been aged. I've actually in Singapore tasted 100-year-old pu'er tea.
Oh, wow.
So,
Oh,
and
yeah.
other tricks in the teas, like with some of your green teas, like once you brew your tea, you don't throw out your tea leaves.
Yeah. Okay.
You can actually put them in a stir fry.
Really?
You can put them in a stir fry. You
Have
won't
them in
need to
your,
take it. Take some, throw it in,
oh my
throw it in.
goodness.
You can do things like that. So you're actually eating the tea leaf after you brewed it. You can also take it instead of, to deodorize your refrigerator.
Okay.
They use tea leaves in a bowl, put it in your refrigerator. I know a lot of people use baking soda, but you can use your tea leaves as well. And it helps
Absorbs the odors and it, oh, interesting. Okay. I did not know that. That's a great
Yeah.
tip.
You
Yeah.
can throw it back into your garden.
Okay. Kind of
Throw it in your garden like a compost.
compost. I like a compost. Now, can I put that like in a worm bin? Can I put it in my worm bin?
I don't know, because the worm thing is a very specific thing. So
Okay.
I would have to check on that.
Okay. I'm not
before
sure. It's interesting because what I do, I don't want to go off on worm bins, but I actually like using worm bins because they're smaller than the compost and they're not as much maintenance. But I take all of my scraps from harvesting or
Yeah.
just in the kitchen, and it's just my greens, my scraps from my greens, and that's all I put in my worm bin. And those,
Right.
let me tell you, they are happy. And so it's interesting. Yeah, but I'd be interested to know about that.
I would certainly, you could experiment with it.
Yeah.
Hey, I can't imagine that it would be anything that you couldn't do.
Right, exactly. Now, what
So,
about the, I know we have kind of so many questions and we're going to be talking all month, but
right.
the caffeinated teas, I mean, so I have a question about like the herbs and the teas and I'm curious about caffeine. I mean, I got all these questions. I'll be pointed
So
here.
there's,
How do we think about that?
right. So when you compare, let's say, coffee to tea,
Mhm.
sometimes some of your teas actually have as much caffeine, but they don't affect you the same way.
Now, okay, that is what I've heard, and I'm very curious if you know why. I think that's interesting because it's
They react differently.
not as acidic, right? That's probably one of the things.
Depending on the tea, that's the problem.
Okay, yeah.
Right. Usually
Yeah.
your green teas and your green, white, and pu'ers are not as heavily caffeinated.
Right,
Your,
okay.
your oolongs, your black teas
Those are.
are.
Yeah.
And so you have to really be careful with your stomach because you could get jittery from your black teas. For me, it's so acidic in my system, I can't, I'll get a cold, I'll break out in a cold, so it's just too much. And I get jittery. I get really hyper jittery and it's not comfortable.
Yep, I've noticed the same thing with me, but green teas don't do that.
No, not as much.
Yeah.
No, but again, if someone's really, I know someone who can't drink any tea at all except for herbal tea and has to even be careful in that realm because herbs are medicine. So and that's why I really the amount of brewing. So I'm going to talk about herbal tea for a second.
Yeah, I'd love to do that. Yep.
Okay, so we're growing herbs and and that's fine. And if you're going to put them in a tea, whether you dry them out or you use them fresh, which are two different flavors, generally your steeping time is just a few minutes.
Okay. Okay.
But most
Does it matter if it's fresh or dry, how long you steep it?
Every single tea is different, but for this, if you're using it for taste, as a beautiful tea that you want to serve for taste, you're not even going to think about the medicinals. You're just going to do. We know that they're healthy.
Right.
We know that they're good. Okay, so we're not going to worry about that. We know that they're really good for you. Whether they're dried or fresh is a matter of what you have the time to do. And the different flavors each. So this is where you can experiment with dried and fresh. If you're going to, I always recommend doing both so you can compare, because for me, especially like mint, there are, and we're going to talk about this one specific tea that I want to introduce today, my first week with tea.
Yeah, I'm so excited. Okay.
This particular tea is called Gen Maicha. So Gen Maicha is Essentia tea. So it's a green tea from Japan.
Okay.
And in it is roasted brown rice that you
Interesting.
can actually eat. You
Oh.
can actually, when you order it from the tea company and you get it, it looks sort of green because it gets powdered with the green from the sencha. But you can pick them out, and I suggest people picking out like a dozen of them, and then taking a whole bunch of them and put it in your mouth. It is so out of this world delicious.
Really? So
Yeah.
so are you picking out the tea leaf? Or are you picking
No, you're
the
picking out the
brown rice?
rice.
The brown
It's
rice. So you
like
could,
popcorn. And in fact, some of the genmaicha, they actually have little pieces of corn popped. Tiny
oh,
pieces of
now we
popcorn.
can order this online, right? It's like we can put a link out for our members.
I'll send you a link for
Perfect.
for the companies that I like. So at any rate, so I take my genmaicha and I make it two different ways.
Okay.
I'll make it with fresh mint and I'll make it with dried mint.
Oh, and we are growing a ton of mint.
Well, mint, like,
Yeah,
mint grows like crazy. So
you need reasons for mint.
yeah, so I say, take beautiful mint, especially, because it grows and you cut back, and I mean, just endless.
Yeah.
So take it and start drinking it. You can do just mint tea by itself. You know what I mean? But then you can add it to so many other things. You can add it to, and we'll go through that, as the month goes, with white tea. I love mint with silver needle, which is my favorite white tea. You can then, but today it's about the genmaicha,
Okay.
and then with the mint. And one is better when it's hot for hot tea, and one is better for when it's iced tea.
Iced. Okay. And I bet it's the fresh leaves for when it's iced, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
But you have to still brew it hot. You have to you have to make your tea. And I'll go with that when we do the recipe, and I'm going to make a video.
Oh, wonderful.
Right. So you take your tea in your pot, and then you steep your tea, you put your mint in there, you steep it. And a lot of things that people don't know is when you're using, now, I never use tea bags, ever, 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 ever. I don't care what company, I don't use tea bags. So this is loose tea.
Okay.
So,
and this is what you're going to teach us, Robin, which is what I love, because I don't know a lot about teas. This is why I want to bring this to everybody. And I tend to go for the bag, and I don't want to do it that way. So I love that you're going to bring this to us. Okay.
Yeah, you're going to get it through a company. You'll at least feel comfortable that you're getting really good quality tea. And so basically, if it's a really good tea, you don't just get one steeping out of it. You can get 2 to 3 infusions, depending on the tea and the type of the tea.
Right. Oh, wonderful.
Which is great, because then you can do that with your mint too. So if I make big pictures for the summer. I live on this tea. So I'll make a big picture, which I'll get at least 2 to 3 infusions for my picture.
Oh, I love that. I love that. So now it's interesting because we're growing cilantro and oregano and sage and parsley, and we're going to be bringing out lavender pretty soon. So are these all?
And I think I spoke to you guys about lemon verbena.
Yes, and oh gosh, let's not forget we're doing lemon balm and lemon verbena. Ooh.
Oh my God, lemon verbena is my favorite. I got turned on to lemon verbena when I was in the south of France.
Okay.
I was in Moustier, France, many years. Moustier, at that time, there was a 5-star Michelin hotel with a famous chef there. And when I went in, it was seasoned, and they served us lemon verbena tea. So that was like, oh my God, what is this tea? So then,
yeah,
I know. And it turns out that I started to grow it when I lived here in Vegas. It's easy to grow. It grows beautifully. And then these long stalks, I would take them and hang them and dry them
Mhm.
and have verbena for the whole winter.
Ugh,
So it was great. And lemon verbena is one of my favorite teas.
okay, we have to, I gotta look at that. I gotta see, I don't know if that, does it grow more like a shrub? Lemon
No,
verbena, no, not so much.
really.
No,
Just
okay, because that's good, because we're all about growing in small spaces. So
oh,
like what we'll do is
yeah, I
like,
grew it in a pot. I grew it in a pot.
okay, awesome. Yeah, because like it's interesting because this is one thing I love about our membership is we'll do like lavender, but we'll pick like we're doing like a lady lavender, which is kind of more of like like it's almost like a mini lavender. So you can grow it, in a small container and it lasts for a very long time. Eventually, you might want to go, okay, let me replenish, let me give it a home, maybe in a bigger pot, but you can go, they're intended to be in small, the root ball doesn't get that big. It's like micro tomatoes, mini lavenders, all those kinds of things. Yeah. Yeah. That's
So,
wonderful. So
yeah.
talk to us about this month real quick here before we sign off. Like, so it sounds like you've got a lot of ideas. I'm so excited.
Right. So what I
Yeah.
do is I'm going to marry the two worlds. I'm going
Okay.
to marry, well, because anybody can take and put the leaf that you're growing and put it in hot water, steep it and drink it. So generally that's fine if you want to do a strict herbal tea. If you want to just make a mint tea, then you put it in there and you can put some beautiful honey in there. There's, because most people like it sweetened. But there's much more that you could do. And I like to marry what you're growing with some of your real tea.
Yes.
So
Yes.
that's what I'm going to do for you is marry those two worlds. Then what
And
we're
that's
going to
the value. That's what people, because you know what, that is true. That's what you're absolutely right. That's what I think our members are going to want to hear, because it's like, I can I can throw the herbs in the hot water, but really tell me about how to take this to a
it's
whole new
really
level.
learning about
Incorporate the
the
tea. I love-
right. It's
Yeah.
really more about the real teas. So we're going to zero in on the different teas that that's my knowledge. Of course, there's the medicinal teas, and with the medicinals, and I'm hopefully going to bring in a friend. We're going to do a session with her. She has a master's degree in herbal medicine and herbs. She's brilliant, beyond brilliant. Not only that, she has a master's degree in nutrition. She's a
She
nutritionist.
combines both of them. That's really
So
nice. Yeah.
knowledge in terms of the health benefits of herbs and greens and food and everything and treating illness with this. So I spoke to her this morning actually, and we talked about medicinal teas. It's a whole different steeping thing. And you generally always have at least 4 to 5. And so you have your 2 main ones and you have your 3 supporting, and they have to work synergistically together.
Oh,
And
interesting. Okay.
right. So
Yeah.
you mess around with
Mhm.
thinking about treating any illness, nothing. You don't want to go down that road unless you really know what you're doing. And those teas, so most of the teas I'm going to talk about are steeped for anywhere from usually no more than 3 minutes, 3 to 5 minutes, depending on the temperature, the
Mhm.
specific tea,
Okay.
and how many infusions we're going to get. So we're going to deal with that. The medicinals are steeped much longer.
Okay. Well, and I
Right.
have to tell you, I'm looking forward to that, because one of the things I have a lot of questions, but you always hear about oil of oregano, and obviously we'll talk about that when we bring in her, but like, I'm always curious, about that, because they
Well,
talk
I
about
tell
that.
you, with
Yeah.
oil of oregano is really powerful. And I take oil of oregano because I'm not getting a COVID shot, but I'm working in a place where I'm around a lot of people, and
Yeah.
so every day when I come home after I work,
Yeah.
it's a wild, very
Mhm.
strong, potent, wild, organic herbal tincture of oil of oregano, and I take 2 drops. And especially if I feel like I'm coming down with something, I'm telling you, if you catch it, that stuff kills
I
any.
say, and that's what I would love to ask her. Yeah, exactly. Why is that? I mean, I'm always like, I want to get to the science. Now, what is it about that that's so interesting to me? Because I had heard
So,
that.
right. Well, the thing is, you think
Yeah.
about, that's why I always say your herbs are medicine.
Yep. Yep.
And so you really, when you start to utilize them as medicine, you need to be guided by somebody who is a real herbalist, who knows what they're doing. Because here's the big problem is if you're ill, and you're taking medication, and you start to add your herbal plants, which is herbal medicine,
Yep.
because don't forget, up until we had penicillin, which was the first man-made medicine, everything was herbal plant medicine.
Yep. That's true.
So
Yeah.
it's medicine. You must think of your herbs as medicine.
Right.
Okay. Start working that. And if you're on medications, you don't want to be counteracting what
Yeah.
the medicine is.
Yeah.
So, and that's what, like when I send clients who want to work with someone and I know, okay, this is way beyond what I know. I don't like, I'll help you with making things taste good once she gives me the directions of what you can have and what you can't.
Oh, I see. So that's how you guys work together. Yes.
That's how we work together. And I just sent her someone. And so what she does is she has to look at all your lab work. She has to have a full, you know, you have to write out it's pages and pages writing out what you're eating, what you're taking, your supplements, because the supplements as well.
They also interact. Yeah, that's true. And people don't realize that. Yeah. Yeah.
And this doctors do not know.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Well, this is good because I'm very, and that's a whole different. So we've got a whole, when you think about it, we don't have that long of the month left. We're going to have to squeeze it in, but this is good because we're going to talk about the different types of green teas. We're going to talk about the herbal tea, the medicinal. Yep.
Teas.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Teas with the things you're growing and with the teas that I like to work with, and give you recipes for that. And you don't have to worry about it. You don't have to worry about any of the medicine stuff. And then, you know, and some of the things for the future that we're going to do with Planted Places is we'll record things. It'll be in the Planted Places archives, so that then if you want to know and you want to look at a video that we may not post on our monthly thing, but it's in the archive of us talking about the medicinals and all of that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's what's so great about, I think, for the membership. People can go back. I still have people that will say to me, okay, in January, you know, we had that really unique protein powder, the chocho plant protein. Yeah. And I have people, Christy, where do I find that again? Because that was amazing plant protein. And I love that for my drinks that I make now. And they, you know, they like, because we gave them samples. They're like, where do I get that? You know, so this is something where I'm really, especially because you know so much about the different teas, being able to give the members access to like, they're not going to know, I don't know, but like, where do you find those teas online? Right.
Right.
So there's places you need to go. So
yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
Well, wonderful, Robin. I'm good kickoff for the month. And I feel like sometimes maybe I don't really drink that much coffee, but you know, I've got the point, you know, if everyone gets those habits where it's like, oh, I just like the taste of my coffee, but I've been wanting to like change that and become, no, I want to be more of the tea drinker.
Well,
go out with my garden and be drinking my tea, you know.
And tea is so much fun because there's such gorgeous teaware I collected. I actually had a tea room in my house in Las Vegas, and I had a tea thing set up in my galleries.
Oh, nice.
In New York, I actually sold tea because I worked with this company, the distributor. She distributes all over North America. She's actually in Canada. And we sold teapots, we sold teaware, we sold, we sold teas, different blend, really good, beautiful green teas. And so it's
wonderful. Well, we have a surprise for our members. I can't say what it is because then they'll know, but we have a surprise in the box this month. And I think you know, that's around tea. So.
And there's some cool little things that we can talk about in China. So there's little, they use little teacups. Okay. So a lot of the teacups because you make a small pot and you drink little bits. they have teaware for summer, teaware for winter. So in winter, you want to keep the heat in, right?
Right. Yes.
So
You want to keep it
the-
warm.
so-
Yeah.
right. So the teaware, they're
Wow.
straight up and down because they keep the heat in.
Yeah, from escaping the
On
cool.
the summer teaware, there is a tiny little lip that flares out, and that allows the heat to dissipate.
Interesting. The
Yes.
detail, the detail.
Oh,
You
yeah.
gotta
And then,
send pictures of this that we can post for people. Okay,
oh,
you know, yeah.
yeah, it's so much fun. I mean, going down the whole tea thing is just with the utensils and how you wash your teaware. It's so much fun.
Okay, that is a nice little tutorial that we can do, right? To show, you know, and we could just record that, like you said, put it in the archives for people to access for sure,
Right.
definitely. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much, Robin. That was
You're
great,
welcome.
as always. And we recorded this, so we'll definitely replay it for everybody. And if you guys are listening to this, like I said, this is our spring campaign, and come on in, because actually tomorrow we're going to close up the membership, and then we'll open it up fairly soon after that. But we're going to close it up because we'd like to bring people in as kind of a cohort and train everybody and get everybody going at the same time. So very good. Thank you so much, Robin.
You're
Always a
welcome,
pleasure.
Christy.
All right.
Thank
We're
you.
talking probably next week about the
Absolutely.
next tea. I look forward to it. I can't wait to make some. All right.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.